Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Em, and you may not know this about me, but I am a big fan of book award season. I love to look at what books from the previous year have been compiled onto the different lists. I love a ready-made reading project, and book awards are perfect for that. I'm specifically a fan of genre book awards. I like a horror book award, a sci-fi, a fantasy. I don't really get into mystery, but I still like to look. I'm nosy. I like to see what books are getting praised and recognized a full year after they have been published. It's a good time for me. Historically, I try to read the books that are finalists for the Nebulas and the Hugos, which are both science fiction fantasy awards. And I also try to read the novellas. Sometimes I'll try to read the graphic novels. It really just depends on what is on the list, what sounds interesting, what has piqued my curiosity. I started reading the finalists for the novel, the novella, and the graphic novels for the Hugos in 2020 when I was just really needing some joy. And I found some favorite authors of mine doing that. It was truly like the most magical reading project I have ever done just in that year. And it was so needed, and I appreciated it so much. It was great. So all that preamble is to say, the finalists for the Nebula Awards are finally going up today. It is March 12th. The nomination window closed on the 28th of February, so I have been very impatiently watching the Nebula Award website to see when they were going to put out the list, and they had a live earlier this evening to announce all the finalists, and so I thought it would be a fun time to go through and look at the finalists together and see if there are enough titles I'm excited about to do a little reading project this year. If you're interested, I will link the videos I've done down below where I've read finalists for the Hugos and the Nebulas. I didn't do it last year. I made a video talking about the novella finalists for the Nebulas because I had read so many of them already, but truly I was not excited about the books that were nominated last year, and I didn't want to read a good chunk of them, so I just kind of skipped it. But that made me sad that I wasn't excited about it. So here's hoping I am excited when we see this year's finalists. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll look at these together, see what we think. I'll scooch over to the side so there's room. And let's just hope I'm excited about this list this year. For Best Novel, we have Sleeping Words Have No Memory, Rakes Fall, Asunder, A Sorceress Comes to Call, The Book of Love, and Someone You Can Build a Nest In. All right, I have read two. I've read A Sorceress Comes to Call, and I have read Someone You Can Build a Nest In. I know who Kirsten Hall is because of another book, but I haven't heard of any of these, which could either be fun or could be a problem. All right, so we'll make note. We'll come back to those later. Best Novella, The Butcher in the Forest by Premi Mohammed, The Tusks of Extinction by Ray Naylor, Lost Ark Dreaming by Sui Davies Akungboya, Countess by Susan Pulumbo, The Practice, The Horizon, and the Chain by Sophia Samatar, and The Dragonfly Gambit by A.D. Sui. And I haven't read any of these, which actually makes me really excited because the novellas tend to be my favorite. I have had The Butcher in the Forest on my radar. I read another novella from Premi Mohammed when it was also a finalist for the Nebulas, and I really liked it. So I definitely want to read more from her. The Ray Naylor I'm not excited about, Tusks of Extinction. I have read a book by him before, and it's the octopus one that was nominated a few years ago, and I didn't like it. Lost Ark Dreaming I have wanted to read. Countess I've never heard of, and I haven't heard of the other two either. So that could be good, some new favorite authors. And then we have Novelette, and I don't really read novelettes, but here's the list if you are curious. The Brotherhood of Montague St. Video, Katya, oh no. Okay, I'm not even gonna try to say that second name because I think I'm just gonna butcher it. And The Second Drowning of Baba Rekha, Another Girl Under the Iron Bell, What Any Dead Thing Wants. I have read an Amy Ogden before. I would be interested in reading from her again. Negative Scholarship on the Fifth State of Being. And then two stories by the same author, Joanna's Bodies and Loneliness Universe. And then short story. I'm not a short story reader. I tried so hard. If you've been here, you know I have tried so hard. It's just not my jam. But we have The Witch Trap, 5 Views of the Planet Tartarus, Why Don't We Just Kill the Kid in the Amala's Hole, and then a reminder, The Vampire, and We Will Teach You How to Read / We Will Teach You How to Read. Okay. Ooh, and then we have the Nebula Award for middle grade and young adult fiction. I've been salty about this award in the past because they have given this award to books that are not YA. Last year, How to Shape a Dragon's Breath won. That book is not YA. It has a young protagonist, but not YA. So we'll see if they did better this year. Okay, Daydreamer by Rob Cameron. Braided by Leah Cypress. Benny Ramirez and the Nearly Departed by Jose Pablo Irate. Puzzle Heart by Jen Reese. Moonstorm by Yoon Ha Lee. And The Young Necromancer's Guide to Ghosts by Vanessa Ritchie Thode. Did I read any new releases last year? Because seriously, I don't know what any of these books are. I haven't heard of hardly any of these. I'm recognizing author names, obviously, but I feel like, what did I even read? Best Game Writing, not really my thing. Okay, so that's kind of it. This is the downside of the award shows, or the awards, is that sometimes I feel like I don't even read. It's wild. Okay, so let's look some of these up. Okay, so here's the cover. I kind of dig it. It's kind of got like horror fantasy vibes, which I could be into. It says it's a science fantasy noir tale. And this author has been nominated for Nebula before. And says, refusing the Queen's order to gas a crowd of protesters, Minister Shay Ashcroft is banished to the border to oversee the construction of the biggest defensive tower in history. However, the use of advanced technology taken from refugees makes the tower volatile and dangerous, becoming a threat to local interests. Shay has no choice but to fight the local hierarchy to ensure the construction succeeds and to reclaim his own life. There's a note from the author that says a major theme of the book is how disinformation and propaganda can be used to justify violence. Very appropriate for the time that we're in. I wonder if this is going to be a theme with the finalists. Let's look at Rakesfell. Oh, this is the author of The Saint of Bright Doors, which was nominated everywhere last year and I think won a couple of awards. So that would make sense that this author would be nominated again. That totally makes sense. It says, some stories take more than one lifetime to tell. There are wrongs that echo through the ages, friendships that outpace the claws of death, loves that leave their mark on civilization, and promises that nothing can break. This is such a story. So it's about two people who met as children in the middle of the Sri Lankan Civil War. So it sounds like it's got roots in our world. And then something happens to propel their souls on a journey throughout the ages. So it says this is sci-fi, epic, and probably leans a little bit more literary because if I remember correctly, The Saint of Bright Doors leaned more literary, which is fine. I'm not a big fan of like literary science fiction, but sometimes I dig it. Oh, stop. I am obsessed. Look how pretty this cover is for Asunder. Wow, I like it so much. Okay, it's so pretty. So it says, we choose our own gods here. Y'all, I'm already in. Karis Eska is a death speaker locked into an irrevocable compact with Sebaster, a terrifying eldritch fiend. Stop. Three-faced, 100-winged unforgiving, who has granted her the ability to communicate with the nearly departed. Stop it. I'm in. She pays her rent by using her abilities to investigate suspicious deaths around the troubled city she calls home. When a job goes sideways and connects her to a dying stranger with some very dangerous secrets, her entire world is upended. Done. That's all. No more questions. Yeah, I'm in. I will read that. Sounds great. This is the same person who wrote, what's the Nun book, I think. Right? Am I thinking of the right? Yeah, Star Eater. Same author as Star Eater. That's what I thought. A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher I've read. The Book of Love I am not familiar with. Oh, okay. I do recognize this cover. I have seen this. I don't know what it's about, but I have seen it. This one is so long. Audiobook is 23 and a half hours. What are we doing? It's first novel from a short story author. Interesting. About 3 teenagers become pawns in a supernatural power struggle. It says, late one night, Laura, Daniel, and Mo find themselves beneath the fluorescent lights of a high school classroom almost a year after disappearing from their hometown, the small seaside community of Lovesend, Massachusetts, having long been presumed dead, which, in fact, they are. Okay, I don't know if I want to read too much more into it. I think that's good. I am flabbergasted that it's that long, though. that is a long book. And then Someone You Can Build a Nest In, I have also already read. This is cozy fantasy horror. It wasn't the perfect book for me, but I did enjoy it. And then novella, we're just gonna do it real quick. I think The Butcher in the Forest has a really pretty cover. I've always thought this was gorgeous. The Tusks of Extinction, I feel like I can picture in my head, but maybe not. Oh, I do recognize that. I guess I didn't realize that was a novella. I thought it was a novel. I don't know. I feel like maybe I should give Ray Naylor one more chance, see if I like him better in short form than in long form. Lost Ark Dreaming, I do really like this cover. I think this is like dystopian, if I remember correctly. Like the ocean levels have all risen type of story. All right, and then we have like the 3 that I haven't heard of, so let's check them out. Oh, I like purple. I don't know how I feel about this cover though. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I think it's probably fine. Maybe a little forgettable. But purple is my favorite color, so I do like that. All right, and then The Practice, The Horizon, and The Chain. Again, nothing super special as far as my like artistic tastes go. It's a fine cover. It doesn't really tell me anything about the book except that it's probably science fiction based off this cover. But yeah, doesn't give me a whole lot to go on. And then The Dragonfly Gambit. Again, I don't know that I like this cover. Yeah, please chime in down below on your thoughts with all these covers. Again, it looks like it's going to be science fiction. Like, those are just the vibes I'm getting. I mean, maybe science fiction fantasy, like a genre blend. Yeah, without knowing what it's about, I don't know. But the cover, I don't know how I feel about her not having a face. I think that's what I don't like. Is she doesn't have a face. Why doesn't she have a face? So yeah, that's the list. I think I will probably do my best to read them, if only because there are so many I haven't heard of and authors I haven't heard of, and the ones I have heard of I either haven't read yet or maybe I've only read one thing by them. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to find new favorites, and if not new favorites, to at least experience different authors and some different stories than I feel like the same 5 we see all the time. I find it really interesting. Did Niveau not have a Singing Hills cycle come out? I find it interesting that there's no Niveau on the novella list and there's no Shauna Maguire on the novella list, which makes me wonder if they either refuse their nomination, which I feel like there's usually like a note if the authors do that, or if people have just gotten fatigued by those long-running novella series and are moving on. I'm so interested. I'm so interested in how that all plays out. But that is a list. Let me know if you're interested in reading any of those. If you also like to read like books that are circulating during award season, and if you want to leave me an emoji to let me know you made it to the end of this video. Let's do a star, like a shooting star. I know that's not a nebula, but I can't think of what other emoji would be nebula-like. And as always, thank you for spending your precious time with me. I really do appreciate it. And before you go, don't forget to like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye.